watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Gloria, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, anti-austerity parties win in France and Greece. A U.S. drone hit Yemen and Pakistan, and a report says U.S. secretly released Afghan prisoners to militant groups. Guantanamo defendants stage peaceful resistance to military commissions. Bahraini human rights activist Nabil Rajab jailed. And Japan shutters last nuclear power plant. And Biden says, I am absolutely comfortable with same-sex marriage. And federal probe launched into police killing of Kenneth Chamberlain. And FBI pushes national electronic surveillance strategy. And 20 convicted for protesting NYPD stop and frisk policy. And Beastie Boy Adam Yauch, 47, dies. And Sarah Short and Shane Bauer marry in California. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed on our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, the growing anti-austerity movement in Europe received a big boost this weekend with the defeat of French President Nicolas Sarkozy and the defeat of Greece's two largest political parties. In France, François Hollande is set to become the first socialist to lead France since 1995. And he said, I am the president of Youth of France. I am president of all the collective pride of France. I am the president of justice of France. Carry this message far. Remember that for the rest of your life, this great gathering at Bastille, because it is much to give a taste to other people, to the whole of the Europe, of the change that is coming. In Greece, anti-bailout parties placed first and second in Sunday's election, ousting Greece's ruling parties from power. Right-wing New Democracy Power won 19% of the vote. Coalition of Radical Left in Syriza placed second. One Greek analyst told Financial Times there is a whole generational shift happening in just one night. The United States carried out drone strikes in Yemen and Pakistan over the weekend. In Yemen, a drone reportedly killed Fahid al-Qasa, who escaped from prison in 2005 after being convicted of the role of the 2000 bombing of the USS Cole warship in the Yemen's port of Aden. In response to the drone strike, militants staged a surprise attack on the Yemeni army base earlier yesterday, killing 20 soldiers and capturing 25 others. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, U.S. drone fired 2 missiles at a compound in North Waziristan on Saturday, killing at least 9 people. In news from Afghanistan, Washington Post has revealed the United States has been secretly releasing Afghan prisoners as part of negotiations with militant groups. U.S. officials have reportedly used the prisoners as bargaining chips in violent areas. At Guantanamo, lawyers for 5 prisoners being tried by a military commission for their role in the September 11th attack said the judicial process was rigged to lead to the execution of their clients. During Saturday's arraignment, the prisoners refused to talk or listen to the judge. One prisoner was brought to the court in restraints. A lawyer for one of the prisoners said the action of the men were a peaceful resistance to an unjust system. Attorney James Harrington criticized military commission's rules that barred discussion at the time of his client. Razmi bin al-Shaib spent in secret CIA prisons. Well, there are certain areas of off-limits for us, including questions about their confinement, questions about things that have happened to them in the past. Until there's some change in the rules we operate under, we have severe restraints. constraints in exploring these issues, and they bear significantly on this case and issues ultimately that will be litigated. Army Brigadier General Mark Martins defended the military commission's process and said some have said that any attempt to seek accountability within the military commission system must inevitably be tainted by torture. To those who have these concerns, we say we acknowledge your skepticism, but we also say that the law prohibits the use of any statements obtained as a result of torture or cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment. We will implement the law. These proceedings will be fair, and I submit that we military judge advocates who are carrying out assigned duties in this reform process have some standing to maintain that they will be fair. One of Bahrain's most prominent human rights activists remains in jail after being detained Saturday. Nabil Rajab, who heads the Bahrain Center for Human Rights, was arrested when he returned from a trip from Lebanon. Rajab is being accused of taking part in what's called for an illegal gathering and march. Rajab has been a frequent guest on Democracy Now! Over the past year. For the first time since 1970, Japan has stopped producing nuclear power up until partially nuclear meltdown in Fukushima last year. Nuclear power plants provided almost 30% of Japan's electrical needs. A growing anti-nuclear movement in Japan has forced the closure of Japan's other facilities. On Saturday, Japan shut down its last nuclear plant, but government officials have not ruled out restarting its nuclear industry if Japan suffers from electricity shortages. On Saturday, thousands of anti-nuclear activists marched calling for nuclear plants never to be reopened. One protester, Kario Kanda, said she was worried about the effects of radiation, said, "My friend in Awaki just died of cardiac arrest. People around me are dying. They're dying because they are staying in places where the radiation is too high, absorbing the fallout and dying of cardiac arrest. The cause and effect cannot be directly established, so we can only say what a pity. But there are many people dying now." And Vice President Joe Biden says he is absolutely comfortable with same-sex marriage, a position that appears in contrast to that of President Obama, who has endorsed civil unions but not marriage for same-sex couples. Biden made the remark in an interview on Meet the Press with David Gregory. David Gregory asked him, "You're comfortable about same-sex marriage now?" And Biden said, "Look, I am Vice President of the United States of America. The President sets the policy. I'm absolutely comfortable with the fact that men marry men, women marry women, and heterosexual men and women marry another. All are entitled to the same exact rights, all the civil rights, all the civil liberties. Quite frankly, I don't see much of a distinction beyond that." Gregory asked, in a second term, will this administration come out behind same-sex marriage, the institute of marriage? And Biden replied, "I can't speak for that. I don't know the answer to that." Federal prosecutors have announced they will investigate last year's fatal shooting of Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. It was a police shooting. The 68-year-old African-American former Marine was shot dead inside his own apartment in White Plains, New York, after he accidentally set off his life aid medical alert. Last week, a Westchester grand jury declined to bring charges against any of the police officers involved in the incident. He was shot by a white police officer shortly before the shooting. Another police officer referred to him using the N-word. Ellen Davis, spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, said, "We will review all the available evidence with respect to the death of Kenneth Chamberlain, including the evidence collected during the state's investigation, to determine whether there are any violations of federal criminal civil rights laws." The website CNET is reporting the FBI is asking internet companies not to oppose a controversial proposal that would require firms, including Microsoft, Facebook, Yahoo, and Google, to build in backdoors for government surveillance. FBI has drafted a proposed law that would require social networking websites and providers to instant messaging and web email alter their code to ensure their products are wiretap friendly. The legislation is reportedly one component of what the FBI has internationally called the National Electronic Surveillance Strategy. 20 activists were convicted on Friday of disorderly conduct for blocking a New York City police station door in October to protest the police department's stop-and-frisk policy. Defendants included Princeton University professor Cornel West. Most of the activists were sentenced to time served. The pioneering hip-hop artist Adam Yauch died Friday of cancer at the age of 47. Known by his nickname MCA, he was one-third of the legendary Beastie Boys. He was a practiced Buddhist and helped organize the Tibetan Freedom Concert. In 1998, he made headlines when, at the Video Music Awards, he publicly criticized the climate of racism towards Muslims and Arabs and the Clinton administration's bombings of Sudan and Afghanistan. He also said, "It's kind of a rare opportunity that one gets to speak to this many people at once. So if you guys will forgive me, I just want to speak my mind on a couple of things. I think it was a real mistake that the U.S. chose to fire missiles into the Middle East. I think that was a huge mistake. I think that's very important that the United States start to look towards nonviolent means of resolving conflicts, because if we, hold on, give me one more second here, because if those bombings that took place in the Middle East were thought of as a retaliation by the terrorists, and if we thought of what we did as retaliation, certainly we're going to find more retaliation from people in the Middle East, from terrorists specifically. I should say, because most Middle Eastern people are not terrorists. And there's something that has to stop. The United States has to start respecting people from the Middle East in order to find a solution to the problem that's being built up over so many years. So I thank everyone for your patience in letting me speak my mind on that. On Saturday, a day of supermoon, Sarah Shord and Shane Bauer got married near Half Moon Bay, California. They were the U.S. hikers imprisoned by Iran, Sarah for 14 months and Shane for more than 2 years. Shane proposed to Sarah in the Evan prison by tying a thread from his shirt around her finger in the prison yard during one of their brief daily meetings. Josh Fatal, the third U.S. hiker, has been in jail. Shane was the best man. One of those attended was Swiss diplomat Livia Liu, the Swiss ambassador to Iran, who represented U.S. interests in Iran and helped negotiate the hikers' release. And that's it for World News today. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. Jonah's in America. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Friday, 9:19 a.m. A caller from 300 block of Neal Street reported a dispute between two women and a man. The caller said the last time they argued, he had pulled a gun. They could not be located. 10:03 a.m. A caller from Sierra College reported a possible break-in. 11:54 a.m. Numerous callers from Cypress Hill and Morgan Ranch reported solicitors. And 12:24 p.m. caller from Mill Street reported a counterfeit $100 bill. And 12:48 p.m. caller from 100 block of Forest Glade Circle reported a laptop bag had been stolen from a vehicle. And 2:17 p.m. caller from Highway 49 and South Auburn Street reported a man in a sleeping bag under the freeway. He was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. And 5:59 p.m. caller from Elizabeth Daniels Park reported two juveniles smoking marijuana. One was smoking cigarettes and agreed to move on. And 8:43 p.m. caller from Mill Street reported a man urinating on a wall. And 9:31 p.m. caller from North Church Street reported a vehicle chasing a kid. They said they were playing a game. 11:58 p.m. caller from Arden Court reported a possible gunshot. It might have been a vehicle driving over a loose grate. And Saturday, 12:17 a.m. caller from Morgan Ranch Drive reported teens put a large boulder in the roadway. A resident looked like they had started to TP it. The boulder was moved. 1:45 a.m. a caller from 200 block of South Church Street reported hearing a thumping noise with a person fleeing when the officers arrived. And 2:17 a.m. caller from Brighton and Packard Streets reported a girl passed out at a bus stop. She was cited on suspicion of being drunk in public and given a ride home. And 7:18 a.m. a caller from 200 block of Scotch Pine Circle reported a baby deer stuck between fences, which was freed. At 9:15 a.m. caller from Mini Park reported aggressive dogs going after runners. One was secured. 11:56 a.m. caller from North Church and Richardson Street reported a person blasting profane music. It was quiet when officers arrived. And 1:26 p.m., a caller from South Auburn Street and Highway 49 reported drug activity which could not be located. 5:33 p.m., caller from 1100 block of East Main Street reported possible drunken man who left and was howling at the moon. 11:49 a.m., a woman from 13,000 block of Marigold Way reported a person pushed and threatened her. And 12:40 p.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Ridge Road reported two men tried her door, rang the bell, and ran away when she opened the door. And 1:21 p.m., caller from 10,000 block of Allison Ranch Road reported squatters. And 1:50 p.m., caller from 15,000 block of Skaith Bend reported vandalism to a well pump. And 4:16 p.m., a woman from Alta Sierra, Upper Circle Drive, reported three dogs attacked her. And 4:28 p.m., a woman from 12,000 block of Ridge Road reported someone stole checks from a mailbox and tried to cash one. And 4:28 p.m., a man from 12,000 block of Cannon Way reported his neighbor cut the wire on his electrical fence so that his dogs got loose. And 6:41 p.m., caller from Red Dog Road reported fighting involving a bat. No one was located. And Saturday, 12:02 a.m., caller from Ridge Road and Rough and Ready Highway reported trees on fire because a person lit a tent on fire after a fight. A woman was arrested on suspicion of possessing a controlled substance and an outstanding warrant. A second person was arrested on unknown charges. 12:57 a.m., a woman from 19,000 block of Penn Valley Drive reported she returned home and a man ran out of the house. It was not a burglary. Her juvenile daughter had been having a party. And 1:20 p.m., caller from Airport Road reported a family camping and dumping garbage. And 7:11 p.m., a man from 18,000 block of Highway 20 reported a man was asking him to go outside and fight. And 7:53, a woman from 21,000 block of New Deal Road reported a person grabbed her arm during an argument. And 8:41 p.m., caller from 11,000 block of Creekview Drive reported hearing a woman screaming for help who could not be located. And 11:35 p.m., caller from 29,000 block of Highway 49 reported drunken person causing a disturbance. And Sunday, 12:31 a.m., a caller from Wet Hill and Cement Hill Roads reported yelling and loud music. It was quiet when deputies arrived. At 12:42, a caller from 15,000 block of Wet Hill Road reported person possibly was delusional, was running a chainsaw. Person was contacted and no chainsaw was heard. At 7:42 a.m., a man from the address called to report a woman came in his residence and attacked him. She was arrested on suspicion of battery and trespassing and booked and released on a $1,500 bail. Nevada City Police Department on Friday, 9:33 a.m. or p.m. A caller from 700 block of Zion Street reported two men threatening a person with a pole, then left in a vehicle. And Saturday, 12:27 a.m., a caller from Broad and York Streets reported 20 clampers about the fight. At 7:23 p.m., caller from 900 block of Howling Way reported a theft from a library. That's it today for the blotter. Now we'd like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Like desserts? They got 'em. You like international style lunches? They got 'em. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. In news headlines, Memorial Walk to honor homicide victim Sarah Burr. And pot case moves forward. And 2 thefts at same store, same day. In today's first local story, written by Liz Keller of the Union, it's almost a year since Sarah Burr was shot and killed, allegedly in the hands of her fiancé and the father of her unborn child. But while the homicide case against Lee Corners continues to wend its way through the Placer County Superior Court, Burr's family has moved ahead with a candlelight vigil in her memory. The vigil took place last Wednesday night. It was intended to send a message to victims of domestic violence to seek help and not wait. There's no book that is written that can tell you how to react when your firstborn child is taken like that, said Burr's mother, Deborah Turillo. I hope this never happens again to anybody. Unfortunately, Sarah has already been taken from us. Placer County Sheriff's deputies responded to Connor's house near Weimar, May 15, 2011. After an off-duty police officer in the area heard a gunshot, officer discovered Burr, 29, lying on the porch. She later was pronounced dead at the scene. Burr's relationship with Connorth was described as volatile during a preliminary hearing into the evidence against Connorth. According to Torello, Burr had been staying with Connorth because her car was being repaired, but was planning to moving into her own apartment within a couple of weeks. That probably scared him, made him feel insecure, Torello said. Whatever happened that night between Burr and Connorth got volatile within minutes, Torello said, adding, unfortunately, it got out of hand. Burr had 2 daughters, aged 6 and 11 at the time. She graduated from Nevada Union in 1999 and had been employed at the Golden Empire Convalescent Hospital since 2000. Connorth has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of homicide, facing special allegations of multiple murder and use of firearm during the murder, as well as being a felon in possession of a firearm. He remains in jail on a no-bail warrant. A trial readiness conference has been scheduled for May 24th. The more knowledge you have, the better you feel, Torello said. The more truth is revealed, the more you're able to release and go on. It's easier to say goodbye when you know in your heart what really happened. It's not knowing that is the worst thing. The Burr family approached the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Coalition about putting together a memorial, which was also being attended by representatives from Women of Worth and Nevada County's Victim Witness Advocate Program. They wanted people to know that there are services available for people who are experiencing domestic violence, to get help and not wait. And that was their message, said the DVSAC Executive Director, Nico Johnson. In another Liz Keller story, a jury found sufficient evidence to hold local man to answer on drug charges in Nevada County Superior Court on Tuesday. Was last Tuesday. 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia was not proven during the preliminary hearing against Charles Mason, who had been arrested August 2011 after deputies allegedly found $18,000 cash and more than 5 pounds of marijuana in his vehicle. Prominent San Francisco attorney Tony Serra asked to postpone the hearing after Mason's girlfriend, Wendlyn Clemens, who had been in the vehicle and who was expected to be a witness for the defense, self-surrendered at the jail Tuesday morning on related charges. Sarah told visiting Judge C. Anders Homer he had learned just days earlier that charges had been filed against Clemens, but Deputy District Attorney Jim Phillips said the charges had been filed in November 2011 and a warrant likely had been issued around the beginning of the year. Homer ended up denying the motion to postpone the hearing. A member of the Nevada County Narcotics Task Force testified he had been in the parking lot next to Callahan Park in Nevada City when he saw a man looking into vehicles, possibly trying to break into them. He said he circled back and saw the man meet with Mason, who was driving a BMW, then get in the front passenger seat for a short period of time before the 2 men walked away in different directions. The deputy testified he approached the vehicle and smelled marijuana through the passenger side window, which was open about 2 inches. The 2 men then met back at the car before a woman identified as Clemens arrived and left in the BMW with Mason, the deputy said. He followed them and initiated a traffic stop on Highway 49, saying he felt he had probable cause due to the fact that Mason was speeding and the suspicious nature of what he had observed. The deputy said Clemens handed him a small bag of marijuana and he found a small baggie of marijuana and $18,000 in cash inside the BMW. He said he subsequently found a pellet gun, knives, 8 baggies of pot with total weight of over 5 pounds, and a scale in the trunk. According to the deputy, Nevada City police officer who searched Mason found more than a half gram of methamphetamine in his pockets. A search warrant was subsequently served at Mason's residence, Yuba County, the deputy said. Testified they found 30 marijuana plants in an outdoor grow and 44 smaller plants underneath the grow lamp in a detached garage. During his cross-examination, Sarah worked to cast doubt on a number of points, including the deputy's ability to smell pot through a window of a BMW. He also asked whether Mason stated reasons for having pot and cash in his car. He said the money was to buy his girlfriend a car and that he was taking the marijuana to a friend's house to make butter. Would have impacted the deputy's opinion that Mason had pot for sale. Homer held Mason to answer on charges of transportation of marijuana for sale, possession of marijuana for sale, and possession of a controlled substance. His formal arraignment was set for May 18th. In a story by Matthew Renda out of the Union, 2 separate shoplifting incidents at a large retail store in Grass Valley on Tuesday resulted in arrests by the Grass Valley Police Department. Jody McCaffrey, 19, of Grass Valley, was arrested during the night after staff from the retail store caught her allegedly leaving around with items from the store. GVPD officers allegedly found McCaffrey with methamphetamine, bindle baggies, and other paraphernalia associated with the drug, said GVPD Captain Rex Marks. She had meth quantities that were beyond use, Marks said, adding law enforcement has seen an increase in incidents involving methamphetamine. Marks said it appeared that McCaffrey was using stolen items from the store to restock her distribution operation. McCaffrey was charged with possession of a controlled substance for sale with $35,000 bail. Earlier in the day, GVPD responded to a call from the same retail store to investigate a report of shoplifting. Christina Campbell, 46, of Penn Valley, was allegedly caught attempting to remove a disposable cell phone from the store. Upon apprehension, GVPD found another similar device in Campbell's possession that had previously been removed from the store. Loss prevention staff from the store told officers that it was the 5th time Campbell had been caught shoplifting in the past 2 months. Marks said Campbell was charged with burglary in the 2nd degree and possession of known stolen property. Bail was set at $25,000. And that's it for our local news today. We'd like to thank the Union, Amy Goodman, Reuters, Associated Press, and others for the sourcing of our news, and you for watching. You can watch this broadcast on Comcast Cable, NCTV Channel 11, Nevada County, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, Southern Link 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra. We're also streamed on internet at NCTV's Digital Media Center website, nevadacountytv.org and gvtv.org. And don't forget, Grass Valley Television plays 24/7 on the net, grassvalleytelevision.com. We post to Facebook, YouTube, Blip.tv, and many other sites, and have RSS feed and video podcast on iTunes. Just search under video podcast for GVTV News. Content is controlled by the producer of this newscast, me, and Grass Valley Television is not necessarily the opinion of NCTV Digital Media Center. And that's it for today.